Welcome to today's deep dive.
It's a crazy concept.
It really is. And I want you, the listener, to mentally leave behind for just a little while the idea of, your overpriced city, those overcomplicated morning commutes, and, well, the endless digital schedules that basically govern your life.
Just drop it all for a few minutes.
Right. Because today we are unpacking this really intriguing, totally unfiltered piece of writing from 2026. It's titled Sosua 2026, The Caribbean Blueprint for Absolute Freedom.
It's a very bold title, and the phenomenon it describes is this massive shift in how people, specifically this growing demographic of Western men, are choosing to construct their lives.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to really analyze this text and understand why a small, bustling beach town on the north coast of the Dominican Republic has completely bypassed the glossy travel magazines.
And the luxury booking sites.
Exactly. It bypassed all of that to become the center of this modern exodus.
And the source material makes this fascinating claim right out of the gate. Like, to understand why this wave of people is uprooting their lives and moving to Sosua, we first have to understand what this town is fundamentally rebelling against.
Right. You have to define the opposite.
Yeah. So the author situates Sosua in the Puerto Plata province, which is a very quick drive from the Gregorio Luperón International Airport. But almost immediately, the text draws this incredibly stark, aggressive contrast with famous resort destinations like Punta Cana.
Mm-hmm.
The author emphasizes that Sosua has no fences, no all-inclusive walls designed to keep the tourists in and the local population out.
Yes.
And most significantly, there are no curated wristband tourist experiences.
That detail about the wristband is, I think it's one of the most potent symbols in the entire text.
Oh, for sure.
Because when you check into a typical mega resort and they snap that plastic band on your wrist, you are literally tagging yourself as a consumer.
Like lifestyle.
Basically, it's a barcode. You are trading your autonomy for predictability. You get the buffet, you get the, scheduled pool aerobics.
Swim up bar.
Right, the swim up bar. But you are confined to a highly controlled, sanitized environment. And the source argues that the men moving to Sosua are actively rejecting that sterilization.
They don't want the wristband.
No, because the wristband represents the very same controlled corporate structure they're trying to escape back in the US, Canada, or Europe.
I love that framing because it perfectly sets up the imagery the author uses for Sosua Beach itself. The description is stunning, but it's not polished.
It's very raw.
Yeah, they describe this turquoise water and fine white sand, a bay protected by these gorgeous natural coral reefs that make it ideal for swimming or snorkeling. But instead of a uniform-clad corporate hotel staff member handing you a branded towel and asking for your room number,
right,
the beach is alive with independent local vendors. You've got coconut stands, people selling empanadas right there, and the constant thumping sound of meringue drifting out from independent local bars. It's a completely different ecosystem.
It is an organic ecosystem rather than a manufactured one.
Yeah.
And in a world where almost every destination is heavily marketed, focus grouped, and filtered through massive PR departments, what's fascinating here is how the text frames raw, unfiltered chaos as a highly desirable and incredibly scarce commodity.
Wow, yeah.
The source argues that we've just reached a point of exhaustion with the polish.
Okay, let's unpack this because it makes me think of the difference between types of video games. A typical all-inclusive resort is like a walled garden or maybe a theme park version of a country.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
You're on rails. You can only go where the paths are laid out, and every interaction is completely scripted. But Sosua, as the source describes it, is the open world game.
The sandbox.
Exactly. The beach belongs to absolutely everyone. You have local Dominican families, foreign tourists, long-term expats, all just sharing the exact same stretch of sand. There is no VIP section roped off with velvet.
And that lack of a velvet rope, it really extends to how the town is being discovered in the first place. The author explicitly notes that Sosua is not being pushed by hotel brochures or traditional travel agencies.
Right.
The momentum is being driven almost entirely by raw videos shot by real men on their smartphones.
Just posting on social media.
Exactly. It bypasses traditional media gatekeepers entirely. The text suggests that institutional trust is so low right now that people are far more likely to trust a slightly shaky, unedited video of a guy walking down a lively street at midnight than they are a $1 million ad campaign.
Right. It feels like a genuine grassroots discovery.
It does. It feels like a secret being passed around.
Word of mouth is acting as the ultimate marketing engine, which is brilliant. But, I mean, An organic beach and a great unscripted vibe can really only keep you entertained for a week or two, right? A vacation is temporary.
Very true.
The source points out that these guys aren't packing up and going back to the airport when the week is over.
Yeah.
So we need to look at the mathematical reality that allows a week-long vacation to turn into a permanent lifestyle.
We have to move from the aesthetics to the economic.
Exactly, the hard economics.
And the transition from visitor to resident is where the blueprint truly takes shape. The source anchors this economic discussion around Pedro Clisante Street, which is the main artery of the town.
Yeah, the Strip.
Right. The author describes it as being intensely alive both day and night. And the text lays out the math in a way that is frankly designed to shock a Western reader.
It certainly shocked me.
Yeah.
And listener, I really want you to take a second and just imagine your current monthly expenses. Like think about your rent, your groceries, your heating bill. If you live somewhere cold,
Yeah, that's up fast.
it's huge.
Yeah.
Now, look at the numbers the source highlights for Sosua. A full, incredibly rich local meal costs just a few dollars. And rent for a comfortable apartment, often within walking distance of that turquoise water we just talked about, can be as low as $400 a month.
$400?
$400.
Yeah.
Add in the fact that the weather is warm year-round, so you are eliminating massive winter utility bills and the need for, like, heavy seasonal wardrobes, and the financial pressure just completely deflates.
The author is essentially describing the complete dismantling of the Western economic treadmill.
Yeah.
In a major city, New York, Toronto, London, a massive percentage of your income is instantly vaporized just by basic shelter and survival.
Right, just to exist.
Exactly. The baseline hum of financial panic is just a constant companion. By dropping the cost of a comfortable life to roughly $400 or $500 a month, Sosua offers a radical reduction in baseline stress.
So what does this all mean? Cheap rent and sunshine exist in plenty of places globally. Why is Pedro Clisante Street the epicenter? I mean, if these guys just wanted to drop out of the rat race and save money, they could go completely off-grid.
Right.
They could find a $400 apartment in a quiet, rural town in the American Midwest, or maybe in remote parts of Southeast Asia. What is stopping this from just being another forgotten cheap town?
That is the critical distinction the author makes, and it's absolutely vital to understanding the blueprint. Because off-grid living is cheap, sure, but it is also deeply, profoundly isolating.
Yeah, you're alone.
Right. The source argues that Sosua's unique power lies in the intersection of extreme affordability with a high-density, high-energy social flow. The text specifically points out the demographic melting pot happening on Pedro Clisante Street. It's not just a bunch of solitary guys hiding out in cheap apartments.
The source mentions Dominican families, European and North American expats, digital nomads, and retirees, all actively navigating the same physical space.
And that shared space is the key. Because in many international destinations, when expats move in, they tend to build their own isolated compounds.
Well, yeah, gated communities.
Right. They build their own expensive cafes and private grocery stores, which drives up the local cost of living and creates intense resentment from the local population. It essentially creates two separate, parallel towns.
Yeah, them versus us.
Exactly. But the text argues that Sosua operates differently. The foreigners and the locals are eating at the same spots, walking the same street, and participating in the same daily economy. So when you combine the economic relief of a $400 rent with a vibrant, naturally integrated community, you create an environment where people aren't just surviving cheaply, they're actually thriving socially.
So there's a difference between nearly retreating from a high cost of living and actively stepping into a community that feels alive and engaged.
Precisely.
That makes total sense. But the source makes a very specific and I guess somewhat controversial pivot at this point. The cheap rent and the sunny mornings explain how someone can physically afford to survive in Sosua. However, the author explicitly points to the nightlife and the specific social culture surrounding it as the primary catalyst driving this massive exodus of men.
Yeah, the nighttime economy and the social dynamics after dark are really where the source shifts from an economic analysis to a deep sociological critique.
And the text paints an incredibly vivid picture of this transition. Like the sun goes down and the entire atmosphere shifts. You have this electric energy taking over Pedro Clisante. Bachata and reggaeton are spilling out of the open-air bars right into the warm night. People are dancing. The streets are packed.
It's live.
It's totally alive. But here's where it gets really interesting. The source claims that men are choosing Sosua specifically to escape what it defines as the cold transactional nightlife they are subjected to back in the West.
The author is aiming a direct, very sharp critique at modern Western social dynamics, particularly how they impact men. The text uses the phrase, real human connection, warmth, and a social culture that prioritizes enjoyment over performance.
Wow.
And we really need to unpack what the author means by performance.
I'm glad you brought that up because the text contrasts Sosua's vibe with the overcomplicated lies and underdelivered promises back home. It seems to be painting a picture of Western cities as these exhausting, hyper-competitive pressure cookers.
Yes.
When the source talks about performance, it feels like it's talking about the constant need to prove your societal value just to earn a basic human interaction.
That is the exact mechanism that author is highlighting. In many major Western urban centers, the dating scene and general social nightlife have become highly commodified.
Like an interview.
Exactly. It often resembles a corporate networking event or a job interview. There's this heavy reliance on status signifiers, what your job title is, what neighborhood you live in, the careful curation of your digital dating profile. The source argues that this creates a pervasive performance anxiety. Social interaction literally becomes an evaluation of return on investment.
It's like you are constantly presenting a resume before you're allowed to have a conversation. You aren't a person. You're a portfolio of assets and attributes.
Right.
And the text is arguing that SOA is the release valve for that specific pressure.
According to the source, the social scene in Sosua is fundamentally non-transactional in its baseline humanity. The author suggests that these men are fleeing the cold evaluation of their status. They're seeking an environment where a conversation is just a conversation.
Yeah, just people talking.
Where the culture prioritizes the simple joy of being in the moment, the music, the warm air, the shared experience, rather than constantly calculating the social value of the person standing right next to you.
Now, just to maintain our objectivity here, we are looking at this